What I think is probably the most fascinating coincidence or provenance is how close you guys live to Star JC Park. I mean, you literally walk to the festival.
Well, no, we ride our bikes.
You ride your bikes.
We ride our bikes.
Could walk. Yeah.
Tell me about it, Brian.
Well, we just hop on our bikes and get over there and park them and start the show, or get ready to.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a very easy ride. It's a fun start to the summer.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 blocks.
Yep.
It's almost as if Shakespeare Royal Oak was put there for you.
I think it was.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which is kind of odd, given that you were originally looking at a different park in Royal Oak, right?
Yeah, that's a good point, because that's why the company is called Waterworks Theater Company. A lot of people don't know that the company is named after a park which is no longer called Waterworks Park, but was called Waterworks Park at the time that I came up with the idea.
Was it close to your house
it
instead of ours?
was 2 blocks away from my house. And I was walking around one night in the middle of it wasn't the middle of the night, but it was dark, and it was a cold winter night, and I was inspired because in this park at that time, in the wintertime, they used to store the baseball bleachers in the winter. And they had one spot, like a street light in the middle of the park, and it shined down on the stored bleachers in the wintertime. So I was walking around the park, and I looked, and I saw the light shining down on the bleachers in the middle of the park, and I thought, Shakespeare in the Park.
It's a theater.
Why not? We could just do it right here. I could walk here. Why don't we just do it here? So I immediately went to the city hall, and it was winter of 2001, and I said, well, I would like to do Shakespeare in the Park. And they said, oh, that's a really nice idea.
But
the park you want to do it in is too small. There's no parking, and it's too close to all the houses. And I said, but I live right around the corner. But I had already started the theater company, called it Waterworks Theater Company, and put you on the board because you said yes. And they convinced me. They brought me to Star JC Park, this guy who worked at Royal Oak Parks and Rec at the time. He was a brilliant man. He named Greg Rassel.
Yeah.
And he retired recently, but he brought me to Star JC Park, and he showed me the area where we still do it today. And that's when I realized, of course, we have to do it here near where Holly lives. But the question
you
is,
kept it as Waterworks Park. And I remember the one time we had a little rain delay, and a lot of people were gathered in the pavilion under cover while the rain was coming down, and you came in and addressed them and said, folks, this is why we call it Waterworks. And the rain let up, and we went on with the play, but that got a lot of laughs then, too.
Was that the first year when you weren't a member yet, or was that?
It was a little later on, yeah. The first year, I was just a customer, and Holly took my ticket, and I got a seat, and I read about it in the Free Press. There was a column about this new startup park. And then the second year, Holly and I were working together, and the third year we were married. So
oh my gosh,
the rest is history.
This is why I have you as my guests here for this is the second episode of Behind the Bard, because you were behind the Bard, and you, Brian, you came in the early years, and you brought your personality to the front gate, and Holly has this way of opening the front gate between these two trees. It's just so, I don't know, uniquely charming, right?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And you were a customer that first year, right? And she hasn't changed it one single bit, has she?
Not at all.
Well, except that we now have snazzier fencing.
And a tent over us. It wasn't a tent.
And a tent, that's true. We didn't have the shade thing.
A little tent, yeah. But you must have fallen in love with that,
Oh, well, who could? It was A Midsummer Night's Dream, first of all. And you had all these little fairies darting in and out of the trees. And
The fairies dancing out in the trees, away from, when they're not on stage, they're out there doing Ring Around the Rosie. Oh, it was
It
magical.
was a home run first time. It was really charming. Charming as could be.
So then the second year, you said you were working together.
Yeah, we had been dating. We had our house real close to the theater, so yeah, we started working together. Holly continued to take tickets. I started seating people. I still do that,
Head usher.
which is a lot of fun. Holly greets them first with a big smile and hello and welcome back or welcome period, and I greet them again and try to find them seats. And there isn't a bad seat in the place. You're under the sun and under the stars, and it's just a great atmosphere all the way around.
But what I wanted to ask you about is how you go about doing that, because you've developed this unique way of putting blankets closest to the stage and short chairs behind the blankets
that's right.
and taller chairs behind the short chairs. And you manage that, Brian, in a way. You've been doing that for decades now, and I just stand back in awe. How do you do that?
Well, you do run into some issues sometimes with patrons who want to sit closer than they really should. And I think it's just a common sense arrangement that you wouldn't want anybody in front of you, would you? And so therefore, blankets are people on the ground. And then we have these short beach chairs that are pretty common, and that's an area of its own. And then there are the regular lawn chairs, and that's what fills the area. And people seem to understand that. So
Yeah,
it
well,
works.
I don't know. You must have, did you invent that, or did we invent that? When did that come up?
That was right from the get-go.
Yeah.
We
Holly
did that
did
right
it.
from the
Yeah.
beginning, yeah.
Wow,
With
it's just
little signs in place to indicate which area is which. The tough part, I think, for Brian is when we've got a really nice crowd
Yeah.
attending and we've run out of space,
Yeah.
and Brian has to go in and say, would you mind moving up? And he shoves everybody up closer to the stage so we can fit more chairs in behind. It's a beautiful problem to have.
yeah, yeah.
And I try to address the crowd so they accept the fact that although they have these short chairs, now they have larger chairs next to them because we have to get people in there. They want to see the show. Like, what was our biggest crowd? Was it Hamlet?
Hamlet, yeah,
Oh.
we had 500 and some people one night.
Just to get that many people in there was a bit of a dream and also a bit of a nightmare.
Well, I think we might have had a rain out that caused people to come back.
Yeah, I think that might be.
Somebody asks me when they find out about this festival. A friend of mine just recently asked me, who had never been there. They said, "What do you do about the rain?" And I said, "We laugh at the rain."
Scoff.
Come on, I dare you to rain.
And we shoo away the mosquitoes, too. They're not allowed.
Not allowed. Well, we discovered those commercial services that spray for mosquitoes, and so we do that now before the festival starts, and in between the weeks we do that now. It really helps.
And it's very effective. And yet people will still take advantage of the free mosquito spray and they'll lather themselves up with spray, and even though it doesn't make any difference because you've taken care of it.
But what I really wanted to focus on today for our little conversation was the two of you and how awesome you are to our audience. And one of the things that's, I don't know who invented it. I know I didn't, but it's one of the most, the most beautiful things about our festival is when you leave. And when you walk out, and you guys invented this Candlelit walkway.
Do you remember why that happened?
No, I don't.
This is another kudos to Mary. The first year we had a rainy day or rainy night or whatever, and we didn't have the sidewalk at that time,
right.
and the park was full of puddles everywhere. And your mother, Mary, went out and bought candles so that we could indicate a path through the puddles to get to the parking lot.
My mother did that.
Yep.
Your mother did that, and it was such a brilliant idea that from then on, whether we had the sidewalk or not, we lit the path for our patrons to. It's like fairy path.
It is.
Walk down between the candles to get back to your car. It's really
Often hear
lovely.
people admire that. They, oh, look at the candles, and they walk
Yeah.
between them.
Well, over the years, they've turned into like solar lit candles.
It's battery operated now.
Yeah, and we light the whole field
Yes.
all the way across to the
To the
parking
auxiliary
lot.
lot, yeah.
But that candlelit walkway that you guys put out every show at the night to the first parking lot has always inspired me, and I didn't know till this very moment that
That
my
was
mother
your
did
mother's
that.
idea.
Oh, you're killing
To
me.
save the shoes of our patrons.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they worked.
Oh my God. And so you guys and you got married in what year did you get married now?
04.
04. And that's when I had to learn to call you Holly Conroy.
Yeah.
Because I acted in a play with you before we ever did Shakespeare in the
Not
Park.
a play exactly. We were in a murder mystery company together.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
All I
Yeah.
remember is standing on top of a table in a reception hall. That's all I remember.
A trip up to Garland Golf Resort
Yeah.
for murder mystery too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Were you ever in a show? You've been in lots of shows with
We
Holly.
have been shows together. Holly did Wit at one time, where she shaved her head.
He played my father.
Her father. That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
But you guys are so important, not only to our theater company, but to the Village Players in Birmingham. And we're good friends with that organization. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but we sponsored a chair in the theater for you.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that
I
was
love that.
very nice.
Yeah.
And we had a very difficult time squeezing both your names in onto the little badge. But I think we
That's
pulled
a
some
lovely
strings.
That's great. Yeah, that's
But,
great. They get installed at the end of July.
Oh, good.
Well, you'll see
Good.
that.
Well, it's 100 years, you know.
Yeah.
We're only at 25, but this organization that you're
Goals.
with, goals, right? But I just wanted to mention that, you know, I'm glad you brought Brian along because he's just as important as the rest of
He is
us.
pretty
Glad to be
important.
brought.
Thank you, guys, and we'll see you out in the park this summer.
It'll be fun. You know
Absolutely.
that.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ed.